First contact. The Galactic trade station Harmony floated peacefully in the neutral zone between three major star empires. Built like a massive wheel spinning slowly through space, it served as a meeting point for dozens of alien species who came, here to trade, negotiate, and exchange knowledge. For 200 standard cycles, no weapons had been fired within 10 light-years of this station. That peace was about to end. Controller Zara 9 extended her tentacles across the sensor console, her gelatinous body pulsing with different colors as data streamed through her consciousness. The Medusae were perfect traffic controllers, able to process hundreds of ships arriving and departing simultaneously. But today, something made all 8 of her neural clusters fire warning signals at once. An unregistered vessel had just appeared at the edge of sensor range, and it wasn't using any known hyperdrive signature. She immediately alerted Station Commander Threk, a massive silicon-based crystalline whose body resembled a walking cathedral made of living quartz. His deep voice resonated through the command center like an earthquake. "Show me this anomaly, controller." The main viewing sphere materialized in the center of the room, displaying a ship unlike anything in their databases. It was clearly built for war, with angular armor plating that seemed to absorb sensor scans rather than reflect them. Strange symbols were painted on its hull, and weapon ports lined its sides like the teeth of some ancient predator. Security Chief Crick spread his 4 insectoid wings in agitation, his compound eyes focusing on the tactical display. The buzzkin, warrior, had fought in 12 different conflicts before taking this position, and every instinct told him this ship meant trouble. "Commander, that vessel is armed with unknown weapon systems. I count at least 40 missile tubes and what appear to be kinetic railguns. We should activate defense protocols immediately." Before Threk could respond, the mysterious ship transmitted a message. The communication came through on multiple frequencies simultaneously, as if the sender was desperately trying any method to make contact. When the universal translator finally locked onto the signal, every being in the command center froze in shock. The face that appeared on their screens belonged to a species that had been declared extinct 50 standard cycles ago. It was a human face. The human looked exhausted, with deep lines carved around his eyes and gray streaking through his dark hair. His uniform was patched and repaired so many times, it was impossible to determine its original color. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of unimaginable loss and determination. "This is Admiral James Chen of the Earth Defense Ship Gibraltar. I need to speak with whoever is in charge of this station. We have wounded aboard and are requesting emergency medical assistance." Threk's crystalline form chimed with confusion. "This is impossible. The Dominion Empire reported the complete extinction of humanity after the Sol System War. They showed us the destroyed remains of Earth and the other human colonies. You cannot exist." Admiral Chen's expression hardened, and for a moment something dangerous flashed in his eyes. "The Dominion showed you what they wanted you to see. They missed a few of us. We've been running, hiding, and surviving in the dark between stars for 50 years. But right now, I have 300 civilians aboard, including children, and many are dying from Dominion bioweapons. I'm not asking for your trust, I'm asking for your mercy." The command center erupted in debate. Trade Minister Vex, a serpentine Scalari, coiled nervously around his hover platform. "If we help them, the Dominion will destroy this station. They have made it clear that anyone harboring humans will be considered an enemy of their empire." His forked tongue flicked out nervously as he spoke, tasting the fear that permeated the air. Dr. Taya stepped forward, her feathered wings rustling with determination. The Aviax healer had dedicated her life to preserving life in all its forms. "Commander, I took an oath to help any being in medical distress. If there are truly wounded aboard that ship, especially children, we cannot turn them away. To do so would make us no better than the Dominion." Crix clicked his mandibles in disagreement. "This could be a trap. How do we know this isn't some elaborate deception by pirates or worse? A ship that advanced could destroy this entire station if we let it dock." His tactical mind was already calculating firing solutions and defensive positions, preparing for the worst. On the Gibraltar, Admiral Chen turned to his bridge crew. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, her arm in a makeshift sling, monitored the communication systems. "Sir, they're debating whether to help us. I'm picking up a lot of fear in their voice patterns. They're terrified of the Dominion." Commander David Kim, the ship's first officer, stood beside Chen's command chair. Half his face was covered in burn scars from their last encounter with Dominion forces. "Admiral, our medical supplies are gone. If they don't help us, we'll lose 30 more people in the next 48 hours. The children won't last that long." Chen nodded grimly and opened the channel again. "Station Harmony, I understand your fear. The Dominion has hunted us across half the galaxy. They've destroyed every world that showed us kindness. But I'm going to tell you something they don't want you to know. We're not the only species they've done this to. The Yaran, the Kelix, the Primitive Alliance, they weren't conquered. They were exterminated, just like they tried to do to us." Zara 9's colors shifted to deep purple, indicating extreme distress. "Commander, I'm detecting massive hyperspace signatures approaching. A Dominion battle fleet will arrive in system in approximately 2 hours. 60 ships, all military classification." The weight of this information settled over the command center, like a shroud. Threk's crystalline body hummed with thought. They could turn the humans away and possibly avoid conflict, or they could help them and face the wrath of the Dominion Empire. Either choice could mean the end of everything they had built here. Admiral Chen seemed to sense their dilemma. "Commander Threk, I know what I'm asking. I know the risk you'd be taking, but let me offer you something in return. The Gibraltar isn't just any warship. She's equipped with technology the Dominion doesn't know we have. We've spent 50 years improving, adapting, and preparing. If you help my people, I'll help defend your station." Crix laughed, a harsh buzzing sound. "One ship against 60? Even if you have advanced technology, those are impossible odds." But even as he spoke, his tactical display showed something unusual. The Gibraltar's power signature was unlike anything he had seen, as if the ship was hiding its true capabilities. Chen's expression remained steady. "Chief Crix, we've survived impossible odds for 50 years. My ship has faced Dominion fleets before and lived to tell about it. But more importantly, we have information about Dominion weaknesses that could change everything. My communications officer, Ensign Tomoko Nakamura, decoded their battle net 6 months ago. We know their attack patterns, their shield frequencies, and most importantly, we know about the virus. This caught everyone's attention." Threk leaned forward, his massive form casting prismatic shadows. "What virus?" "The Dominion's entire fleet runs on a centralized command system. It's what makes them so effective in large battles. But it also means that if you can insert the right code into their network, you can cause chaos. We've been developing this weapon for 20 years, waiting for the right moment to use it. Help us. And when the Dominion arrives, we'll show you how humans earned their reputation as the galaxy's most stubborn survivors." Dr. Taya made her decision. "Commander, I'm going to prepare Medical Bay 7 for human casualties. It's isolated from the rest of the station, so if this is somehow a threat, we can contain it. But I won't stand by and watch beings die when I have the power to save them." The debate continued for several more minutes, but Threk had already made his choice. The crystalline species valued logic and calculated risk, but they also valued justice. The Dominion had grown too powerful, too cruel. Perhaps it was time someone stood up to them. "Admiral Chen, you may dock at Port 7. Dr. Taya will meet your wounded there. But understand this, if your presence brings destruction to this station, the blood of thousands will be on both our hands." Chen nodded solemnly. "Understood, Commander. And thank you. You won't regret this decision." As the Gibraltar moved toward the station, its true size became apparent. The ship was massive, easily the size of a Dominion battlecruiser, but its design was uniquely human. It was built not for beauty but for survival, every inch of it screaming defiance against a galaxy that had tried to erase its creators. Inside the station, aliens who had never seen a human watched in fascination and fear as the docking tube connected. The first to emerge were the medical cases, humans of all ages being carried or helped by their fellow survivors. But what struck the observers most was not their injuries, but their eyes. Every human, from the smallest child to the oldest adult, had the same look of fierce determination, as if they had stared death in the face so many times it had become an old acquaintance. The last stand, the Dominion fleet dropped out of hyperspace with practiced precision, 60 vessels arranged in perfect attack formation. At the center of their fleet, the dreadnought Extinction's Hand commanded by War Master Zarak, a being whose very name caused entire systems to surrender without firing a shot. The reptilian commander stood 12 feet tall, his scales black as space itself, with 4 arms that could operate multiple weapon systems simultaneously. His tactical officer, a smaller Dominion warrior named Sarek, reported immediately. War Master, we have confirmed the presence of the human vessel designated Gibraltar. It has docked with Trade Station Harmony. The station has raised shields, but has not powered weapons. Zarak's tail swished in satisfaction, revealing rows of razor-sharp spines. Finally, after all these years, we can finish what we started. Open a channel to the station. On Harmony, the main screen lit up with Zarak's terrifying visage. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding metal. Station Harmony, you have violated Dominion Proclamation 7 by harboring extinct species fugitives. Surrender the humans immediately, and we will allow your station to continue existing. Refuse, and you will share their fate. Commander Threk stood tall, his crystalline form reflecting the lights of the command center. War Master Zarak, this is a neutral trade station under the protection of 3 sovereign governments. You have no authority here. Zarak laughed, a sound like breaking bones. Authority? I have 60 warships. That is all the authority I need. You have 10 minutes to comply. The channel closed and panic began to spread through the station. 30,000 beings from dozens of species suddenly realized they might die for a decision they had no part in making. But before the fear could turn to chaos, Admiral Chen's voice came over the station-wide communication system. Residents of Station Harmony, this is Admiral Chen. I know you're afraid. I know many of you think we've brought death to your door. You're not wrong. The Dominion has chased us across the galaxy, destroying anyone who showed us kindness. But today, that changes. Today we stop running. My crew and I have a plan, but we need your help. In the command center, Chen stood beside Commander Threk, with his senior officers flanked around him. Lieutenant Martinez had set up a portable tactical display showing the enemy fleet. The Dominion's formation is Standard Pattern 7. They'll start with long-range bombardment to weaken shields, then send in fighter waves and finally close for the killing blow. But they've made one crucial mistake. Crick studied the display with his compound eyes. What mistake? Their formation is textbook perfect. Commander Kim smiled grimly. Exactly. The Dominion hasn't changed their tactics in 30 years because they've never had to. They've been fighting enemies who were weaker, less advanced. But humans? We've been doing nothing but studying them, learning and preparing. Chen activated his wrist communicator. Chief Engineer Thompson, are you ready? A woman's voice, steady despite the situation, responded. Yes, Admiral. The quantum mines are deployed. They're completely undetectable until activated. Zara 9's tentacles writhed in confusion. Quantum mines? Our sensors detected no deployment. That's the point, Chen explained. We deployed them the moment we arrived, using microdrones smaller than dust particles. They've been spreading through space around the station for the past hour. The Dominion fleet is about to fly right into a minefield they can't see. But Threk saw the flaw in this plan. Even if your mines damage some ships, they still outnumber us 60-1. Admiral Chen's expression was deadly serious. Commander, I need you to trust me. Order all civilian ships to evacuate through the far side docking ports. Make it look panicked, unorganized. The Dominion will think we're fleeing in terror. Dr. Taya, who had been treating human refugees, entered the command center. Her feathers were stained with blood, but her eyes were fierce. Admiral, your people told me stories while I treated them. Is it true that a single human colony ship destroyed an entire Dominion battle group using improvised weapons? Chen nodded. The colony ship New Hope. They turned their mining lasers into weapons and their cargo containers into kinetic missiles. Humans have always been good at turning tools into weapons when survival is at stake. The 10-minute deadline was approaching. Sirac appeared on screen again. "Your time is up, Station Harmony. What is your decision?" This time, it was Admiral Chen who answered. "War Master Sirac, I am Admiral James Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You missed a few of us in your genocide. We've been waiting 50 years for this moment." Sirac's 4 eyes narrowed in rage. "Impossible. I personally oversaw the bombardment of your last colony. I watched your species burn." "You watched what we wanted you to see," Chen replied calmly. "Did you really think humanity would put all its eggs in one basket? We've been hiding in the void between stars in rogue asteroids, in places your species would never think to look. And we've been preparing." The War Master's rage was palpable. Even through the screen, "All ships attack Pattern Omega. Destroy everything, leave no survivors." The Dominion fleet surged forward, weapons charging. On the Gibraltar, Ensign Nakamura's fingers flew across her console. "Admiral, I've accessed their battle net. Uploading. The virus now." The first wave of Dominion missiles launched, thousands of them streaking toward the station. But as they entered the quantum minefield, something extraordinary happened. The mines didn't explode. They created tiny pockets of warped spacetime that sent the missiles spiraling off course, some even turning back toward the Dominion fleet. Sirac roared in frustration. "What is this trickery? All ships, close to energy, weapon range." But as the fleet advanced, Nakamura's virus began its work. Navigation systems started showing false readings. Friend or foe identifiers began malfunctioning. Within minutes, 3 Dominion ships had fired on each other by accident. Chen turned to the station's command crew. "Now comes the real fight. Commander Threk, can your station's weapons target specific subsystems on enemy ships?" Crix answered before Threk could speak. "Our targeting systems are highly precise, but we've never faced this many enemies at once." "You won't have to," Chen said. He activated his communicator again. "All Gibraltar Marines execute Operation Phoenix." Suddenly, emergency alerts blared throughout the Dominion fleet. Dozens of their smaller ships reported intruders aboard. The human refugees hadn't all been civilians. Hidden among them were Earth's most elite soldiers, warriors who had spent 50 years perfecting the art of guerrilla warfare in space. Marine Captain Jessica Wong materialized on the bridge of a Dominion destroyer, her stealth suit deactivating. Before the crew could react, she had placed explosive charges on their main reactor and vanished again. Similar scenes played out across 20 different vessels. Back on Harmony, the various alien species watched in awe as the humans executed a coordinated assault that should have been impossible. The Gibraltar itself finally revealed its true capabilities. Weapons that had been hidden behind false hull plates emerged. Energy shields that bent light itself flickered to life. The ship that had seemed like a worn refugee vessel transformed into something far more dangerous. The Gibraltar's main gun, a weapon called the Solar Lance, fired for the first time. The beam of concentrated energy punched through 3 Dominion ships in a line, their shields useless against technology adapted from studying stellar phenomena, but the Dominion still had superior numbers. For every ship disabled, 2 more pressed the attack. Station Harmony's shields were failing under the bombardment. It seemed like despite the humans' clever tactics, overwhelming force would still prevail. That's when something unexpected happened. A new fleet dropped out of hyperspace, but these weren't Dominion reinforcements. They were ships from the Yaran Republic, a species everyone thought extinct. Their lead ship transmitted a message. "This is Fleet Commander Yarix. We heard humanity's call. The hidden survive together." More ships arrived, the remnants of the Kelix Commonwealth, survivors from the Primitive Alliance, species that the Dominion had claimed to have conquered or destroyed completely. They had all been hiding, waiting, and the humans had united them. Sirac's confident assault turned into a desperate defense. The War Master couldn't understand what was happening. "This is impossible. We destroyed you all." Admiral Chen's response came through clear and strong. "You destroyed our worlds, but not our spirit. You took our homes, but not our hope. And you made one fatal mistake. You let us live. Humans have a saying. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You've made us very strong indeed. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it ended, the Dominion fleet was either destroyed or had fled. War Master Zarak's dreadnought floated dead in space, its bridge destroyed by a precision strike from a Kellic stealth bomber. In the aftermath, as medical teams from multiple species worked together to treat the wounded, Commander Threk stood with Admiral Chen on the observation deck. The massive crystalline's form hummed with what his species considered satisfaction. Admiral, you've started something that cannot be stopped. The Dominion's myth of invincibility is broken. Chen looked out at the debris field that had once been the galaxy's most feared fleet. Commander, we didn't start this. We're just finishing it. For 50 years, they've ruled through fear. But fear only works when people believe they're alone. Today, we showed the galaxy that no one is alone. Dr. Taya approached them, her feathers finally clean but exhaustion clear in her movements. Admiral, I've finished treating your wounded, but I have to ask, how many more human survivors are out there? Chen smiled, the first genuine smile anyone had seen from him. More than the Dominion ever imagined. We've been building, growing, preparing. Hidden colonies in places no one would think to look. Generation ships disguised as asteroids. Children born in the void between stars who have never known Earth but carry its spirit in their hearts. Cricks who had been analyzing the battle data joined them. Your tactics were brilliant, but it was more than that. Your people fought like they had nothing to lose and everything to gain. That's because we did, Lieutenant Martinez said, entering the deck. Her arm was properly treated now in a proper medical cast. When you've lost your world, your freedom, and most of your species, you learn that survival isn't just about living. It's about making sure your children have a future worth living in. The various species of Station Harmony began to realize what they had witnessed. This wasn't just a battle, it was the beginning of a revolution. The hidden species, the extinct peoples, the forgotten civilizations, they were all still out there, waiting for someone to light the spark of rebellion. Commander Threk made a decision that would echo through history. Admiral Chen, Station Harmony officially offers sanctuary to all human refugees and any other species fleeing Dominion persecution. We will stand as a beacon of hope in the darkness. Other stations and worlds began transmitting similar messages. The Dominion had ruled through fear for too long. Their empire, built on lies and genocide, began to crumble as the truth spread. Admiral Chen gathered his crew. They had won this battle. But the war for freedom had just begun. The Gibraltar needed repairs, the refugees needed homes, and somewhere out there, more human survivors waited for the signal that it was safe to come home. As the various fleets began coordinating their next moves, planning how to liberate Dominion, slave worlds, and free imprisoned species, Ensign Nakamura picked up a transmission from deep space. It was encoded in an old Earth language, one that only humans would recognize. "Admiral," she said, tears streaming down her face. "It's the colony ship Endurance. They're transmitting from the Magellanic Cloud. They have over 50,000 survivors, and they're coming home." The bridge erupted in celebration, but Chen remained focused. He opened a channel to all Allied ships. "This is Admiral Chen to all vessels. Today we showed the galaxy that humanity never forgot how to fight, but more importantly, we never forgot how to hope. The Dominion thought they could erase us from history. Instead, they've guaranteed we'll be remembered forever. Not as victims, but as the species that refused to go quietly into the night." The assembled fleets, human and alien alike, responded with their various forms of agreement. The war for liberation had begun, and at its heart stood humanity, bruised but not broken, bloodied but not beaten, proving once again that the human spirit could endure anything the universe threw at it. As the Gibraltar prepared to leave, leading a fleet of liberated species toward the next Dominion target, Admiral Chen looked back at Station Harmony one last time. They had arrived as refugees and left as liberators. The ghost ship had become a symbol of hope. The message spread throughout the galaxy faster than light itself. Humanity was back, and this time, they weren't alone. The Dominion Empire's days were numbered, and somewhere in the void, more human ships powered up their engines ready to reclaim their place among the stars.